Alright, so in this episode we're going to work on the Jeep SRT. 6.1 liters, 425 horsepower, and it won't start. This Jeep stranded us after we worked out in the gym today. When we were done, we got in the Jeep, hit the starter, click, click, click. Battery seems good. Got good headlights, the radio's working, power windows, everything looks good. And it's a fairly new battery. It's only 18 months old, and that's a big old 960 cold cranking amp battery. So it's a big old battery. Popped up power module off the corner. All the relays seem to be clicking when we hit the ignition. I can hear the starter solenoid down on the bottom clicking when we hit the ignition, but the engine won't turn over. So I think we've got a bad starter solenoid. So we're going to pull this thing apart and see what it takes to get this thing fixed. It's got 120,000 miles on this SRT now, so we will probably go ahead and end up replacing both the solenoid and the starter, just so we don't have to mess with it for another 120,000 miles. So let's, well, first business, I got to change out of my gym clothes and put on something dirtyable, and we'll get this thing fixed. Alright, so these are your power modules on a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and they're easy to get to. You just pop them open like that. And of course the diagram on the side tells you everything that's going on here. Not a whole lot here relating to the ignition start sequence. The second one here, it's got a little bit more interesting stuff going on. Right here is the starter relay, and I've got a spare right next to it because I have had problems with it before. I don't know if it just gets a little antsy or if it overheats or what, but I always keep a spare right next to it. Over here is the starter fuse, and this thing is fine as well. So nothing more to do here. So we need to disconnect the battery, and let's jack this thing in the air and pull the tire off. Alright, so I got the tire off, and let's crawl up underneath here and see what we can see here. Oh, I need to get myself a GoPro or something. Oh, where is that darn starter? Where are you, starter? Oh crap, is that it up there? Oh, there it is. Oh crud. Okay, so there's the starter. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's above the drive shaft, the forward drive shaft for the engine. So I'm probably going to have to remove this drive shaft to get the starter out. I might even end up dropping the center section. Let's see what's involved with that. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to remove this freaking drive shaft. It's going to use a, what size is this? It's going to use a 8mm socket. There's about 6 bolts on either side. So let's pull this thing off first. And see, I'm probably going to just use this big old long extension. It's a wobble extension, so it allows me to get down in there. And I'm also going to use this brand new flex head 1/4" socket wrench that my wife got me just for no reason whatsoever. Is she cool or what? She just saw it on Amazon, she bought it for me, done. So we'll see how this thing works out. Alright, well, this little swivel ratchet is doing a pretty good job getting up in there. So I'm pretty happy with it. This is my last bolt. It's got to be a way to get this thing out of here without dropping any cross members. I hope. There we go. Whew. So that is tight, but the backside of the drive shaft kind of slid out toward the outside of the vehicle, toward the left, the driver's side. Then the whole drive shaft can just drop right on out through without removing either cross member. So that's good. Alright, where's my starter? Well, I can see the starter. That might be all I need to get that starter out of there. This is the back of my drive shaft, and you can see that my CV joint boot is torn, completely torn. For 120,000 miles, this thing is toast. So this could possibly be the reason of my clunk. It does sound kind of clunky. I wonder if I should replace that. This would be a good time to replace it. If you're going to do it, now is the time. Alright, so for the starter, you're going to need a 15mm socket and a swivel, and probably something with a little bit of torque. Like that. This is a Craftsman extension wrench that my wife got me for Christmas, so I finally get to try out this little guy. We'll see how it works. Okay. There we go. Whew. That starter was on there tight. But that extension got it done. Let's try the other bolt. Remember, the battery power and the connections have already been disconnected. There we go. Yeah. This guy got them both. Nice. So long extension, swivel, 15mm. And let's see if the starter slides out. Let's see if there's enough room for this thing to slide out. Oh, it's gonna be tight. Alright, so my metric combination wrenches don't go past 17mm. So I've got a 3/4 opening on this nut back there. What would that be? Let's see, 25, 18, that's probably a 19mm. 19mm is what my lug nuts are, so that's probably what it is. Well, the back of the differential is loose, but it's still not dropping down to give me clearance for the starter. So I'm going to support it here, and I'm going to remove the 2 bolts that hold the front mount. Let's see if that gives me the room I need to drop that starter out. There's one more mount on the passenger side. I don't think I need to go there. Okay, right here. Oh, that's a bigger nut. Let's see here. What size is that? Alright, maybe 17? 17 plus a little floppy. 16. Great. Alright, well, here is the view from the front. And I didn't get enough drop, so I'm going to support the differential again. I'm going to take these bolts out all the way and see how it does. Well, maybe not all the way. Yeah, why not? It doesn't want to drop. It's binding a bit, so I'm betting that the other mount over here on the passenger side probably needs to be loosened up a little bit as well, just to give it a little bit of, you know, like wiggle room so I can drop down all the way. Alright, so I just took my my extension in that hole and I was able to wiggle that thing out of there. Drop the jack down. Still doesn't want to move. Come on. There we go. Come on out of there. It's a stubborn little guy. Let's see if the starter will come out. So, I loosened the bolts that'll hold up the the driver's side of the front differential and the front part of the differential, and that starter is still stuck in there. So I got to go ahead and remove the bolt that holds the passenger side of the differential and then just drop the whole differential out. And there's no other way to get the clearance at this point. I did my best I can, so when you guys are wrenching, just go ahead, undo all 3 bolts, just drop that front differential. It'll make your life easier. Alright, here it comes. Nice. Okay, let's try that starter again. And here we go. It's backing right out of there now. Whew, that was a tight fit. But now I can get to the solenoid, the starter, the works. So it looks pretty clean right here. I don't see any corrosion on the connections. Okay, so the starter is out of the Jeep now, and you can see my driver's side CV axle is still in place. The boots on both the inner and outer are intact, so I'm hoping that the torn drive shaft boot is the source of that mild clunking noise that I hear on occasion. So I'm gonna leave this axle shaft in place for now. I am going to get a new starter from Mopar, from Dodge. I am going to get a new top bushing for this differential. The old one was torn completely, and that can lead to a clunking noise. Usually when you put the vehicle in and out of drive and reverse. I wasn't really experiencing that, but with this differential being pulled down, now is the time. You can also see that the axle shaft itself prevents the differential from dropping all the way. So that was kind of nice. You don't have to have a jack stand underneath the differential to hold it. So on the way, new CV joint boot for the drive shaft, a new polyurethane bushing for the differential, and a new starter. So stay tuned when I install this stuff. Thanks for watching.